By the end of this video, you'll be able to read exactly what the offense is trying to do and why the coach is calling the play that he's calling. So before we even get started, we got to explain the difference between half field concept and full field concepts. And we'll start with half field concepts. That's exactly what it sounds like. We're going to draw a line right down the middle of the field, and we're only working to half the field. So these receivers here will run a concept that will beat one coverage, and then the other side will run a concept that will beat another coverage. So we're going to talk more about that when we talk about our half field concepts. But I want to at least explain that not every route concept is built in for full field. So half field means half the field's running one thing, and then full field means that every route coincides with another. So if we're running this concept here, this is going to be a full field concept that coaches may run. You notice that every single player across all 53 1/3 are involved in the concept, as opposed to the half field where only half the field is involved in the concept. So I want to differentiate between the two, because when we're going to break down this video, we're going to show you half field and full field and why they matter and why coaches' philosophies matter when they run their pass plays. Starting with half field concepts and why half field concepts are so important, and why a lot of NFL, college, high school, even youth coaches have these half field concepts in their playbook, because they're very easy for the quarterback to read. If I can tell you to just understand coverages and teach you to understand coverages, you then can eliminate half the field and know where you're going with the football. So for instance, if we're running what we call the smash concept, so this is going to be a fixed hitch at 5 yards with a corner by number 2. The hitch in the corner, it's called a smash concept. And on the backside over here, I have what's called a dagger concept, meaning I'm going to run a clear out from the number 2 receiver, and then I'm going to run a dig at 10 yards from the number 1 receiver. So as a play caller with our half field concepts, I can say, hey, we're going to run smash dagger. So now the quarterback just needs to go out and read the field. And if he sees too high or some sort of cover 2, he knows I'm going with my smash concept. If the defense comes out and they roll to a single high where they're playing some sort of cover 3, he now knows I'm going with my dagger concept. So you see the coaches, all they need to do is formulate this game plan with what passing concepts they may see that the offense may give them. And then that way the quarterback can literally split half the field and know, okay, I'm getting single high, cover 3, going to the right side. I'm going to ignore the left side. So typically there will be 3 options that the coach will give the quarterback to decide. First is going to be, what route concept am I going with? If it's a 2x2 set or a 3x1 set. And then what's my hot or my check down read? And what we mean by a hot is, let's say the offense does blitz. So they're going to play man coverage across the board. So you're going to get this here. Let's say they bring a 6-man pressure. This guy's coming here. This guy's coming here. We're going to get a bend to the outside, and we're bringing 6. That means the ball needs to come out now, especially if this guy is into a route. They're bringing 6. We only have 5. So I need to throw hot. So every route concept will have a hot throw built into it. That way the quarterback knows, if I'm getting pressure now, this won't develop. This guy has to push 10 yards downfield, and this player has to run a go, and he might not see the ball until 15 yards downfield. Same over here. A coach will have to say, hey, if they blitz us, we got to get the ball to running back now, because if not, we're going to take a sack and lose yards. We obviously don't want to do that. So every pass concept will have what I call a hot, or what's called a hot, built into every passing concept. But you see from a half field perspective how quarterbacks are able to dissect this and make it work just from a, what coverage is it? Okay, I'm going to split the field and go that way. So we talked about the smash concept, and there's 2 ways to really run a smash concept. So like we talked about the hitch on the outside, which is simple, run 5 yards and turn around. And then this corner is all based off of what coverage we're getting. So for instance, if we're getting a 2 high look, maybe this is cover 2, I'm not going to run this thing flat towards the pylon, because this safety can then jump on my back and then undercut it. So the route's going to change based on coverage. I need to bend this thing more to the sideline to run away from the corner and then run away from the safety as well. That way they don't converge on it. So again, this throw is mainly done to the shorter side of the field when the ball's on the hash, but the H-back here needs to read the coverage. That way he can adjust his route. So for instance, let's say they go, and I'll give you another example of this here too. If they go to single high, just like this, now it wouldn't necessarily make sense, because you're going to get this corner that might bail out. So I don't want to make this thing more towards the sideline, because he could jump on top of it. I want to put stress on that corner by making it more towards the pylon. So I'm running away from the safety. And then the quarterback is just simply reading this corner. It's a high-low read, as they call it. Does the corner go high? Good, throw low. Does he sit low on the corner? Good, throw high. So you see, it's very easy for the quarterback to look and say, okay, I'm getting, this coverage and we're going to go smash to this side. Okay, good. I'm going to this side. Well, what's the corner going to do? He's high. I'm throwing a hitch. He's low. I'm throwing the corner. So this is how the offensive coordinators try to make this as easy as they possibly can on these quarterbacks to choose which side they're going to, and then the receiver needs to break their route off based off the coverage they're getting. But the smash concept's a great all-around concept that does beat pretty much every single coverage because it allows you to high-low the corner and allows you to run away from certain coverages. So we just talked about smash and how it's a great beater against most coverages. Now, what if they give us cover one or man? Well, teams can check to what's now called a smash fade. So what smash fade is, you're still getting a hitch here, but now if they go cover one, so let's bring this linebacker in the box. We got cover one. Sam and Mike are going to take the running back. The jack has the Y. The corner has man-to-man here. We'll move him up, play man-to-man, and we have cover one. Ball's in the middle of the field. Well, now, if he's playing with outside leverage or even inside leverage, whatever it may be, maybe we don't want to throw this. We want to run away from the leverage. So what we'll do is now run what's called a smash fade, where I'm going to try to get outside of the numbers and I'm running a fade route away from this rover here, because it's one of the hardest things to do is to try to collapse on this fade, turn around, try to find the ball and try to play it, especially with a safety that's down on a slot receiver who's pretty fast. It's a very hard ball to catch. And then this throw is going to be high arcing to the numbers to the outside. So you have your smash concept, and then a lot of coaches will check to a smash fade if they get single high. That way they can just throw this ball high and outside to the numbers and let one of their best athletes go run under it and get it. Now on the backside, we have what's called the dagger concept. I like to refer to it as you're sticking a dagger right in the heart of the defense, because where this ball ends up hitting is right here in this center area. And all we're doing with this number 2 receiver, the Y, is he's going to run a vertical. And ideally what we want to get is this. And this works best against single high coverage because you're able to clear out this center safety. And then we're going to bring this Z receiver on a dig route all the way across the field. And then this ball will be hit right in this area right here. It's got to be on a low but mid-level throw, because if you do overthrow it, then the safety can get in the window here. But ideally, you look at guys like Tyreek Hill or players that run this dig route with the clear out from the Y. It's a very effective play at about 12 to 15 yards. You can throw it. You'll see it be hit right around 10 to 12 or even 8 to 10 at the lower levels. But teams that like to run this clear out route with the dig behind it, it's a very effective against cover 3. But this is what's called a dagger concept with the clear out and then the dig behind it at 10 yards. Some more half-field concepts are simple concepts that a lot of youth teams will run, but the NFL teams will run as well because it's very effective against all coverages. So the first one being just a 3-step slant to the middle and then a 3-yard out. So again, if you played youth football, you've probably run this concept, but it's still a very effective concept just because you do have that slant that's going across the middle. But ideally what you're trying to do against cover 3 is you're trying to pull this linebacker out with this out route right here, and then you're trying to hit the slant ball right behind his head. So if this Sam doesn't push out to his hash mark or his landmark where he needs to get to, that slant will usually be open. Probably turn on the TV at any point in time on a Sunday or Saturday and see this route concept be hit. It's still a very popular route concept, but it's very effective against cover 3. Now going to the other side, similarly with a cover 2 look, you'll see a lot of times when teams will get a palms look or cover 2 where the cornerback is going to be sitting in the flat. Again, you'll see a nice simple concept here. We'll get an out, and then this player will try to outside release this corner to try to get into what we call the soft spot of the cover 2 right here. And this is one of the hardest throws for the quarterback to make, but he's trying to deliver that ball right into that window. You maybe hear it's called a barrel throw, because a lot of times you'll see NFL teams that will try to throw the ball 30 or 40 yards downfield into a barrel. It's a very hard throw to make. You got to put it on a line too, because if not, the safety will get over the top. So again, the minute the quarterback sees this out route and sees his corner trigger down, that ball needs to be on a rope over the corner's head into this soft spot right here. But this is a fade out concept. Again, very popular at all levels, but it allows the quarterback to see if I'm getting cover 2, I want to go to this side with it. If I'm getting cover 3, again, I can go to my slant out on the backside. So you see these half-field concepts are built in to beat each coverage. Now, if you like learning about these concepts, we have a ton more, including defensive breakdowns you can check in our Ultimate Football Guide that's in the description below. Still sticking with our half-field concepts, we're going to talk about what's called the flood concept next. And the flood concept is a great concept to beat any type of zone coverage. Not great against man, and we'll show you why in a second. But essentially, all we're trying to do is we're trying to get a clear out from number one, run the corner off, give us more space to work with. The number two receiver is going to run a 10-yard out, and then the running back is going to just run to the flat. So we're creating and flooding one zone, but we're creating three layers for the quarterback to throw to. So now you look, he has a short, an intermediate, and a deep. If he's got the deep ball off the rip, take it. If not, let it develop and put this jack or this outside linebacker in a bind, because now he's gonna have to decide, do I cover the short or do I cover the deep? And in cover three, it's extremely effective, especially in cover two as well. If you have your corner that's just going to sit in the flat here, well, he's got to decide, do I take the low or do I take the high? So defenses have to practice this about how they're going to play it. But if not, again, we're just going to flood the zone and try to pick on that outside linebacker or that outside corner. Now, why isn't it good against man coverage? And the reason for that is if everyone's just locked up, this Mike has him and he has him, you don't create any levels because everyone's just going to be locked on, and you're hoping that one of these players can win one-on-one coverage. So again, very effective against zone because you put that jack in a no-win situation. But against man coverage, they're able to just lock on and hopefully not undercut the routes. But more often than not, you see that happen if you have pretty good outside linebacker and linebacker coverage. Now, also, we want to note that if you play Madden or any type of video game, you'll often see this concept be run from a three-man surface where you get that instead. It can also be done. I showed it with the running back, that, or with the slot receiver. You can do both. It's more commonly run with three-man surface like you're seeing here. But again, you can get the running back in the mix and be able to run him out to the flat to create the three levels. Okay, the next concept we're going to talk about is what's called the snag concept. What snag is again, think of it as we're trying to take the defense and stretch it horizontally. We're going to make the defense make hard decisions on who they're going to cover. So first things first, we're going to take this Y and he's going to run a deep corner. Again, we need to get this corner out of the mix and get him out of there so we can stretch this defense. Next, we're going to take the running back, and again, like we did with Flood, we're going to run him out. So now the jack needs to expand wide, say? So we've stretched the corner, we've stretched the jack, and then we're just going to take this Z receiver, and he's going to sit right here in this vacated zone. So now we've taken the jack, we're forcing this Mike, hey, you need to keep pushing out to get in the window of the Z, and it's very hard to do. And usually the Z just needs to get and find space, find the open area, catch the football, and then he's good for about 7 to 10 yards after the catch. But if you notice, we can, again, run this from a two-man surface. We also can run it from a three-man surface where we just bring him over here. And again, it's the same thing. We're going to run corner. We're going to run it out to try to influence that jack out, and then he's just going to come and sit just like that. Now, it's more common to run it from a two-man surface. You know, you can run it without the running back if you just want to go a two-man surface and just do this. And again, he's just going to find this open area here. If you get teams that like the true spot drop, meaning everyone just gets to an area and faces the quarterback and they're not actually looking for receivers, this route's very effective. But most of the time, you'll see it with a running back into the mix or a number 3 receiver on the same side into the mix. So this is the snag concept. Again, think about stretching that defense horizontally and as wide as you possibly can. Okay, now we're going to get into full field concepts. This means that the coach is saying, hey, everyone's going to run a route that's going to coincide with each other, and it's up to the quarterback to read first progression, second progression, check down with the third progression. And every progression is based on coverage. So again, we'll try to simplify this as much as we possibly can. So the very first one we're going to talk about is 4 verts. 4 verts is very popular in the spread offense, and it's so effective because coaches will have routes that break off based on coverage. So we'll explain a little bit more right now. So 4 verts, what are we doing? Everyone's going vertical. So you're going to get vertical, you're going to get vertical, vertical, vertical. There's your 4 verts going forward. Now, what defenses started to do is they started to put 2 high safeties. That way you can cap all the verticals. So you can't get beat deep because he's going to be on top of this, he's going to be on top of this, he's on top of that, and he's on top of that. So there's nowhere for the quarterback to actually throw the football because if he does, it's going to get intercepted, right? So what did offenses start doing is they started to put rules in place based on the coverages they got. So we're not just going out there and saying, hey, 4 guys run as fast as you can downfield and we'll throw the ball up. You got to have some built-in fail-safes just in case they do come out in this coverage. So what a lot of teams will do when they get too high and they call 4 verts, okay, whether it be cover 4, cover 2, is they're going to convert their route based off of what the defense is giving them. So for instance, if I get too high, where's the weakness of too high? It's in the middle of the field. So what this player will do is he's going to try to get inside and then inside the safety. So now he puts himself in between the quarterback and the safety. Same with this player here. We're going to try to get inside leverage and then try to work to the inside. That way, when this ball is thrown, again, he's in between himself and the safety, and that will give us an area for him to throw the football. So that's one adjustment off of too high. Now, what will the corners do? What will we do against the corner? So let's say he does end up capping it and playing it up over the top. He will then snap it off to a comeback. Same thing here. If he's going to play over the top and cap it, we're then going to break this thing off and make it a comeback. So you look, it's still technically 4 verts, but it's all based off of what the coverage is giving us. Now, you might say, well, what about single high coverage? Cover 3, cover 1. How do we run that? So let's say we're going to bring him down. We're going to run cover 3. All right, and I'm going to leave these cover 2 beaters in there. That way you can see the adjustments that coaches will make. Well, where's the weakness in cover 1 or cover 3? It's right here in the hashes. So now we'll run this as a true 4 verts because now we're putting stress on that safety. So you see, based off coverage, what these number 2 receivers are running. Now, if we get cover 3, again, he's going to break it off. Let's say we get him pressed up and it's cover 1. We'll delete that. What's he going to do? He's going to take him deep. Let's try to win this thing deep. Same thing over here if we're getting cover 1. Let me delete this real quick, and then we'll move him down. What's he going to do? He's going to try to take him deep. So you see that every receiver has an option to break it off or to run vertical based on what coverage they're giving him. And this is why 4 verts is super effective, because most coaches have this rules built into it, and it allows the offense to be flexible and allows the quarterback to throw a ball that will go in their favor, not just throwing it up to essentially a 50-50 situation where he hopes his wide receiver comes down with it. Next full field concept that we're going to talk about is the mesh concept. And the mesh concept is the staple of the air raid offense. What is the mesh concept? It's when these 2 players are going to run at what we call the high 5 point, meaning they want to be so close that they can high 5 each other. So what's this going to do against man coverage? Cover 1, cover 0, or any type of 2-man situation, also known as cover 5. What does it do? What it does is it makes this jack and this rover run and chase across the field. And if these receivers get close enough, the jack and rover will actually run into each other, causing one of these players to spring free across the formation. So there's an old saying, cover 1, make them run. The minute you see that they're going to be locked up to us, great. Let's get our best guys through all this traffic, and then hopefully one of them squirts out on the other side, and we're able to get him the football in space and have him run up the field. Guys like, anyone that runs the air raid offense, Hal Mummy, Mike Leach. We'll link a video above we did on the air raid if you want to learn more about the air raid offense. But Cliff Kingsbury, all those guys, Lincoln Riley, they have their mesh systems built in from 1,000 different formations. Because you can run this mesh concept, you get this underneath here, and there's your man beater, and then you can run a dig, and you can run a post. You can run him on a go route. The outside receivers, of course, are all flexible with what they do. But the mesh concept in general is these 2 players meshing up. Other variations that you may see is you may see this wide receiver cut down. They're splits just like this. And now you have this player and this player running the mesh. This player might be running a dig, and then this player could be running a corner. Again, there's different ways to progress through this, and how that you get the mesh running across the field. Now, teams got smart and said, hey, well, if we face a team that runs a ton of mesh, we're just not going to run cover 1. And then if you're a coach that loves to call mesh, well, then how do you call it against teams that don't run cover 1? And the way that you do this is now you build in zone beaters to this thing. So for instance, let's say we keep our normal mesh here over the middle, just like that. That's our man beater. So the quarterback comes out, he sees man coverage. I'm going to the mesh concept. Well, what coaches started to do now is adding this sit element right in the middle of it. So now they're going to let the mesh happen. And if it's zone coverage, this player is going to get out, this player is going to get out. And then we have this sit down concept right here in the middle that we can throw to in case it is zone coverage. So again, nice, easy read for the quarterback to get up and say, man, I'm going to throw it to the mesh. Zone, I'm going to hit this thing in the middle. And then we'll have this guy either on a post or something to clear out that middle safety to give us more room to throw the middle here. So this is called mesh sit. Another variation that a lot of teams are using, especially as they get closer to the goal line, is what we call mesh rail or mesh wheel. And again, you're getting your mesh concept here, and then you're adding another mesh right here. He's going to run the sit down route. You may be asking, why is he running it there? Well, let's say it is man coverage. The jack's going to follow the Z receiver. The Z is going to accidentally pick this mic, and I say accidentally in quotes, and then we have that right here. Corner would be here. This jack would be following this player underneath. So he'd be following the Y underneath. The corner would take him. And then you see we're getting a pick route on this Mike who has that running back. And then we're going to throw the rail to the outside. So it's one of those concepts that if you do it properly, you can get your running back wide open to the outside. This is a very popular concept in the college game because of the hashes. You're able to get a little bit more space for that running back. But those are all the variations of mesh that you'll see on Saturdays. And you'll probably see them on Sundays as well because a lot of the game is translated from college to the NFL. All right, the next concept we're going to talk about is Y cross. And Y cross is simple. It's a full field progression. So we're going to get a fade out concept from the left side here. And then the Y cross comes from, you probably guessed it, the Y that's going to be crossing across the field. Now, notice how I drew this. It's not this. It's the first one like that. And you may be asking why, what's the difference? And the reason you want to go under the first linebacker over the second linebacker is so that the safety takes his eyes off you. We're going to make a video soon about the match concepts and match principles. And a lot of times when defenses play match coverage, the minute they have an underneath like that, they're going to let it go to the linebackers. So the way the offense tricked the defense essentially is instead of just running this guy completely under, they're going to go under and then over just like that. So they're hoping that the defense playing their match principles let him go and they take their eyes off him. And then he gets this window throw right here on the Y cross. So again, the quarterback's going to be reading 1 to 2 right here, and then 3 on the called Y cross. And again, it's great versus cover 3. It's great versus man as well, because if you can get this player who's a little bit faster to run away from the leverage, he's able to get across the field pretty easy. So this is Y cross. You get some sort of version of a deep, shallow, and then that Y player that's going to be coming through the middle of the field. The next concept is what we call the shallow concept. And the shallow concept is great against any cover 2 or cover 4 or any type of defense that has a split field safety. And what we're going to do is we're going to take advantage of this safety right here and also this linebacker on the outside. So what the concept is we're going to bring one player underneath and then one player behind the linebackers. Now, the quarterback's read as he's progressing, again, is 3 different levels. So we're looking 1 to 2 to 3. So who's the 1? This corner. Who's the 2? This intermediate. Who's the 3? Here. So what we're hoping, and we'll break this down route by route here, is we're hoping this drag can then pull a linebacker down or pull this player down just like that. When we pull players out of their positioning, we open up windows. And that's what makes it easier for the quarterback to throw through is those windows. It doesn't matter if you're 5'9" or 5'10" like Kyler Murray is, or if you're 6'5", 6'6". Quarterbacks throw through windows. And we need to clear these windows up by running these route concepts. So what this is we're going to drag underneath, and then we're going to bring the Y on a dig across the field. Now, what this does is it puts pressure on this free safety. If you're the free safety, do you drive down on the dig or do you stay deep on the post? Well, if you drive down the dig, quarterback throws the post. And it's big for the wide receiver to win inside leverage here, because if the corner starts with inside leverage, my route now should look like this. I have to inside stem to get inside leverage, because if I play outside leverage, this cornerback puts himself between the receiver and the football. So I got to win inside leverage, and I got to run, again, at the safety and make him make a decision. What are you going to do if he goes back where they're going to throw the dig? Again, if he drives the dig, we should have leverage on that corner to throw it deep. But again, this concept, very stressful for 2 high teams. And of course, let's say he does go here and for whatever reason, the jack follows this dig all the way across. Well, what does it open up? It opens up this running all the way here. And a lot of teams will just use this concept here to settle in. A lot of coaches, what they'll do as well is they'll put this running back and just have him settle. That way, as everything clears out, if there's nothing there, he can just throw that to his hot or his check down right here in the middle. But again, we're trying to pull the part, like we said with the snag, we're trying to pull it away horizontally. The shallow concept pulls you vertically and makes this free safety make a decision on what he's going to do. So those are the most popular passing concepts in football. If you do have any questions, let us know in the comment section below. We're happy to help out. Again, check out the Ultimate Football Guide in the description, as well as the comments. It will help you learn more football, more defense, and help grow your football IQ. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.